everyone. Welcome back to Mind Your Conversions with Fibrai AI. Today I have a great marketer with me, someone who do not chase trends, but someone who likes to be at home, sip a rare bourbon and do marketing from there. Meet Alex Schutte, Senior Vice President of Marketing at Hubstaff. Okay, Alex, awesome. So you've done a lot. You've built a demand engine at Paycor, and then now you're working with Hubstaff, and it's been a while. You have been through this journey. You've been a gymnast as well, right? And then now B2B SaaS. How does that transition happen?
Yeah. Back then I was flipping in competition. Now I flip for results and making the money rain down from above, right? So yeah, no, I've been known to do a backflip on the dance floor for sure. And, it blends analytics, creativity, going up against yourself, always trying to outdo yourself and be better. So, you got to be flexible too. So,
yeah, I think you have to be if you're a marketing person as well, right? Like two skill set looks too apart, but I think they are very, very close to each other. Also, bourbon, right? When did you get into it? And if I read or if I researched correctly, do you have one of the best bourbons in your collection?
There's levels to it. I don't have anything crazy, but I got into bourbon maybe like 2015, 2018, somewhere in that range, pre-pandemic. And just decided, some of the beers, have a few beers, just get full. And I'm like, man, I got to try something else. And my dad was always a whiskey guy, so I was always kind of around it, but he was not, collection. He was like old Overholt rye, very cheap whiskey. But then I just kind of started to get into it and never was quite, pretentious enough for wine. But I was like, bourbon, Mad Men, marketer. I love Don Draper, right? And turned out I liked bourbon and really wanted to try to understand what made, say, a 6-year bourbon versus 10-year, heavy on rye versus wheat, and just got into tasting the differences in whiskeys. So I've got about 90-ish bottles at home of bourbon, rye, Scotch, Irish whiskey, and Japanese whiskey. And it's fun to host and taste.
Cool. Alex, moving on, would love to know a little bit for the audience and for everybody listening, just walk me through what you have done in the past and what's the most exciting part of your marketing journey?
Yeah. So, I definitely started my career, bigger Fortune 500 company, and then really got into inbound digital marketing at the start of my career. So I started in 2007, was a marketing major, communication minor. So got lucky that I actually got a job in marketing doing what my degree was, and have been doing marketing ever since, but started more in the B2B services side and was self-taught digital and inbound. So learned about SEO, funded the company's first Google ad campaign from Yellow Pages advertising. How long ago this was, right? I was like, guys, there's this new thing called Google. I was like, we got to be there. So it happened to just be right place, right time, where I saw where marketing was going and decided I'm going to become an expert at inbound and digital marketing. And really that was kind of the foundation of my career. And then moved into SaaS and worked for a couple of software companies, and then landed at a company, Paycor, was there for 8.5 years. So started as their digital marketer, team of 1. When I left, I was senior director of demand gen, had 13 people under me, saw it go from founder to private equity to IPO, and then was part of the process to get the naming rights of Paycor Stadium at Cincinnati Bengals Stadium there. And then they've recently been acquired by Paychex after I left. And left to join Hubstaff. So I've been at Hubstaff since May 2024, SVP of marketing for them. And it's been a fun ride. So first year plus in, I grew revenue 45% from the 12 months that I was there versus 12 months prior. Team effort. I don't do it by myself and alone, but was really cool to see, hey, me taking that lead spot. Can I apply all the experience and what I've learned and the playbook I've developed for SaaS growth, apply that to a new company? And what was new for me at Hubstaff is really being heavy on PLG. So I've had aspects of PLG before, but most of my companies I've worked for much more sales led. And so with Hubstaff, 60% of that revenue is coming from that self-serve unassisted, just full try to purchase. And then we've got that other 40% is those bigger deals that come in through the sales assisted channel. But really marketing is driving the bulk of that new business. and it's been fun to help really drive the revenue for the company and build a strong team around it that's focused on the right things, and everyone's data driven revenue marketers really focused on, hey, how do we get to that next stage and have fun doing it.
Yeah, nice. No, this is super awesome. And you have seen the first transition of having Yellow Pages to Google Ads. How's the
Yeah.
second transition from manual Google Ads or manual inbound to like AI, right? Like everybody's talking about like AI SDRs, AI inbound, AI ads, AI landing pages, what we talk about at
Yeah.
Fiber. So like, how are you seeing that? How are you coping with that?
Yeah, I think it's an incredible opportunity that we have. And so I think AI can have just the scale, the speed, the ability to do so many iterations much faster than what we had to do before manually, and literal, keyword adjustments, ad copy testing, landing page, manually adjusting headlines and building out, all these iterations of landing pages to unindexed, but not anything dynamic, right? And so I think this new age really allows for new opportunity, but I think it's a way some people can leverage it as a crutch as well too. So I think there's a key
Yeah,
balance we have to strike between how do we allow the AI to X and really get us to fail faster, to get learnings quicker. But then you still have to apply some of that human reasoning and decision making where
yeah,
you still know the product roadmap of where things are heading. You still know how you're going to position versus a competitor. And there's still some of that psychology that just as a human, you can try to think, hey, my visitor that's experienced, what are the pain points they have? What are those buying triggers that they're coming here? Because still some of the, especially in generative AI, it's still more pattern recognition, predicting what the next thing is going to be. You still have to apply some of that human strategy behind it. So I think it's an amazing opportunity for marketers. Definitely feels like the start of my career with digital marketing, and
yeah.
now SEO is blowing up, and you've got AEO, GEO, whatever acronym soup you want to throw out there, right? But it's fun for me. I
Nice.
love, feeling like I'm a newbie and really, trying to see if we can be getting first mover advantages by taking advantage of this first before
Yeah.
our competitors do. And again, just testing and learning.
Yeah, I think like being early and like picking it up and using it. I know like people do feel, oh yeah, but what AI writes is not good. But I don't think like it's the output is for like the final use. It's the
Yeah.
output for us and then like modifying it. And I hear you, right? Like the whole idea is, can it be a crutch or can it be a somebody who is like an enabler for us and like help us and get us faster, right? Like so
Right.
I've been there. I understand. But like in
Hmm.
general, Alex, like talk to me a little bit around like how have you guys been using it and what's the core problem statement that you have seen AI to perform really well to improve your productivity or to give you results like that you have worked with?
Yeah, I think we've tried to leverage it really for sure on the content side. I think that that's definitely one of the core places you start is just more content SEO for sure. So we've got GPTs that we've built. So we've got our own kind of SEO GPT that we've built, have been able to replace some of our external software with kind of what we've built up there. We've got persona based GPTs, kind of more of our internal research, data GPTs, all that. So I think that's kind of the core foundation of a lot of some of the marketing that we can kind of run through some of those and make sure that we've got the right things in place from an SEO and content perspective, that it's really that extra set of hands and tools for us. I think where we can do more is that personalization and scaling that up, and less in some of the generative, but more in identifying those patterns, the
Yeah,
segmentation, the insights, and then figuring out where it makes sense to apply that in the customer journey. So
yeah,
whether that's on the marketing site or in our app. So we
uh,
actually have a growth team as well that is really focused on that PLG motion of the onboarding to activation to retention in the app. And so
nice.
we're starting to do some personalization and segmentation within there too, based on some of the core needs, and say, hey, what are the jobs to be done? Having
Yeah,
some questions around that when you're actually onboarding in the app. So less about firmographic personalization and more about what are you looking to do
yeah,
with our
yeah.
platform, and then personalizing that way.
Makes sense. Like one thing that keeps that I keep on going back to is like AI. When it started, the whole idea was it will replace all the content
Yeah.
rather than like it will improve efficiency. That like if you think about it, most early use cases which are now slowly dying down is like, oh yeah, I'm gonna replace the creative people from the team. I'm gonna
Right.
replace the graphic designers from the team. Like he'll make, and I think like that started now to go down a bit, and people have started realizing, oh, we are not replacing. We're going
Yep.
to 10x your 10x your output. Like
100%.
some of the elements which I have not seen, and I don't know like how you guys are doing it. AI, using AI software on analytics, using AI
Yeah.
software on like some of those things that you talked about, like pattern recognition, figuring out what people are looking for, rather than like a very basic one, like, oh, which device they are coming on,
Yeah.
personalization, right? Like
Right.
understanding your ads and doing the same journey as like as what we pitch and what we go out at fiber, like making that last mile possible.
Yeah.
Like some of those elements, I think I still feel like nobody started it, which is more analytical, which is actually more AI for me. like
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
there's so much data. But how,
Right.
like, have you had anything in this direction which you have implemented at your end?
I think we're early stages. So that's an area that I'm really pushing for the team as we get into next year. Hey, how can we do more around that?
Yeah.
Because we do have so much data. So whether that is just traffic to our site, we are heavy on inbound. We drive a ton of traffic. We get over 700 customers signing up every single month. So we are high volume, high transaction. And we've got hundreds of thousands of users on our own platform. So we've got a ton of data at our fingertips. We leverage Segment and CDP and various tools to get at those events. But now the
Mhm.
next step is, hey, putting the AI at work to really surface what are those key segments within segments. And then how do we just really look at, as we're testing into those different ones, what's working, what's not, how do we hypothesize about how to improve? So I think that's the next step for us, is to really
Yeah.
throw it at all the deep data that we have. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think like the whole idea of somebody consuming all sources of data and
Yeah.
then giving you certain insights, it's like
Yeah.
that's powerful enough, right? Like
Yes.
right
Yes.
now you have to depend on so many other outside people who are
Yeah.
consuming individual data and then coming together. Like I think I do agree. That's something that's there. Alex, like just to ask you, like I a couple of days back, I saw an ad about that there'll be no ads for humans, but be ads for AI agents. What's your take on consumer agent browsing your site, consumer agent consuming the ads, consumer agent doing all the journey? Like, do you think that we are there, or it's still like distant future?
I could be wrong. Maybe I'm too naive. I feel like we've still got some ways before we're fully there yet. I think there is going to be part of it. I wouldn't be surprised if there also becomes tools and companies that are also trying to optimize your ad so it's not going there, so it is hitting the real humans, right? So I know that's been around before on just more the previous kind of
Mm.
bots and bot traffic, right? I've used some tools that have done that. But yeah, I think this is kind of that next iteration. So yeah, me as a marketer, I really don't want to be paying for our AI eyeballs, right? To get to my content, how to reach that decision maker. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not saying we're going to get there anytime soon. I think there's going to be some of that, but yeah, I don't think we're going to be full on that side quite yet anyway.
Yeah, no, I agree. I do think there'll be like assistants, AI
Yeah.
assistants to humans, but I don't think the initial consumption will be done by AI. I think the
Yeah.
consumption will be human, and then the research could be done by AI. Like that could be the direction. Yeah, but we'll see. We'll see how it
Right.
unfolds. Right now my core is, and I would love to take yours perspective on it. Like my core fear is everybody I talk to, people say, hey, will websites be relevant anymore? And our
Yeah.
entire business is on websites, right?
Right.
Like people are searching on LLM,
Yeah.
getting the information there. Now,
Yeah.
do they need to come back to the website or not? That's like a question that I am struggling with right now. What's your
Mhm.
take on that?
I think it depends on how far some of the LMs go with some of the agentic and some of the connectors they have. So, like theoretically, if we've got a self-serve PLG product, there could be one day where, okay, through the enough connectors you have set up, you could technically fully purchase and onboard in the
Yeah,
LLM, right? So if it
yeah,
is connected to the right things, it goes into our Stripe for the rev recognition and that credit card payment. Theoretically, it could
yeah,
bypass the website, but what's feeding the LLMs, right? So it can't just create and make up these things. These
yeah,
companies exist. If there is no website and content out there that is new and updated, and it's just looking at Reddit threads for the context, right? So Reddit, YouTube, Wikipedia, they're all now back in favor, right?
yeah,
But what's the role? There still is a role for a website there, right? And so I still think what you guys are doing in terms of trying to make the website transition from a static brochure to something that is more dynamic. And
yeah,
I think as we apply AI personalization on a website, how do we turn that website from a collateral piece to a conversation, right? And so how do you make that more dynamic, more interactive, right? So that's where I think websites will bring more value. But yeah, without a website, where's the LLM looking? It's just going to
Yeah.
start hallucinating and making up stuff. So you still got to have something there, or else where are we going back? Yellow pages? Is that what we're doing? We're not doing that, right?
I don't know, like Reddit seems to me something that has picked up significantly recently. Like everybody is on
Oh, yeah.
Reddit, everyone wants to do it. But then you have different areas of Reddit, right? Like the same piece of stuff, somebody talking positive about could be like 100 people talking really, really negative about, and with a lot of fake news. So I'm not sure
Yeah.
how
Right.
eventually LLM will kill it without having like a brochure for a sort, like a website of ours. But yeah,
Well,
but like
and now every marketer like me is like, well, we got to be on Reddit. We got to engage. So now you're seeing way more brands engage, and the Reddit folks like, what? This used to be our sacred spot, right? Well, okay, sorry, marketer here. We're coming in, So yeah, I think it's going to ebb and flow. And yeah, I still think the website is always going to be central. It's just going to evolve what the website is and how it looks and maybe how much traffic it gets, but
yep.
it's still going to be critical in the purchase process.
And Alex, talk to me a little bit around, like, I know we might have folks deciding on PLG versus sales led motion,
Yeah.
and you have been in both sides of the equation, right? Like, how do you draw a line? Like, considering now with AI, a lot of the sales led motion could still be somehow created into a PLG flow.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
do people go for it? Like, how do marketers decide what to choose?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it starts with your product and really the complexity of your product and
Mm.
just the implementation of it, right? So, if you are if you're a new founder and you've got a SaaS product, if you can do it where it's easy to understand product market fit, it's easy for someone to implement it fairly hands off themselves with documentation. Start PLG. It's going to be way better on your margins. A lot of learning you have to do to buy expensive salespeople and leaders that have had a playbook somewhere else and they try to bring it over here. Very, very high cost of sale. And so unless your, ACV and your pricing and packaging really can take advantage of that higher cost of sale for a higher back end price to make the ROI work, PLG is going to be better to start if you're starting out new, right? Again, I think it's based on that product. So if you do have a complex product, if it is high switching costs, really high for someone to leave an incumbent, that probably is a role for sales led because you can do as much inbound, you can try to advertise, but if they're really entrenched in these 5-year deals in the marketplace, right? Okay, it's going to be tough to be full PLG on that. You
Yeah.
can try to do that as a disruptor, but likely you're going to need a bigger sales component.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think we have tried both strategy at our end, and we realized like we are in that the latter camp that you're talking about. Like our customers have like long deals signed with
Yeah.
like bigger players, and then if you don't go and be with them and spend time and dine with them and like
Yeah.
tell them what's changed and how much word has evolved, they're not going to move away. So that's been our journey as well so far on this.
And I think there's a way you could do still a sales assist model or,
Yeah.
the PQL, right? So the product qualified leads. You
Yep.
can still have some light a PLG there, but you still may have to have a bit more sales led on it. But how do you still have the product take a bigger role versus just you're feeding salespeople with collateral and you're only paying for the expensive dinners, right? So I guess that would be my suggestion there.
Cool. No, makes sense. And Alex, like in your journey at Hubstaff, like you've been increasing revenue, like 40+% growth in 1 year. What are some of the areas that you have been able to handle with AI? Like very, very core. Any specific problem statement that you think is something that marketers should be looking at and like you have been able to improve with using AI or AI assisted tools?
I mean, I think the ICP refinement is a key one, right?
Okay.
So I think there's still way more that we could do and could continue to level up in terms of that data analysis piece. But I think refining, okay, what are the right segments of customers? Looking at high value versus those that have certain add-ons versus a self-serve one, right? So really leaning into that, doing the customer research, combining different sources. So say demo recording data from sales, plus
Yeah.
customer interview calls, plus HubSpot CRM data in terms of deal size, time to close, how many buyers were involved, what are the job titles, right? So that's really where we've done a lot of work my last year to really focus on, okay, who are we truly a best fit for? Really thinking that I and ICP, how do we get granular on that and how do we go as deep as we can and then start to leverage some messaging and tactics to really reach them. So I think that's probably been the biggest that we've done from a marketing standpoint. And then our products, we are a SaaS product. We're starting to do more within that as well too, where we're leveraging AI for workplace insights that we can serve up for productivity data on employees that are using our time tracking software. And we're now actually starting to bucket some of the LLMs and tools. So if you use us as an agency for time tracking, we can actually say, oh, here's those LLM tools. So if you start using ChatGPT Enterprise at a certain date, we can say, oh, is it actually giving your team more focus time? How's that impacting
Right.
utilization rates? Is it improving productivity? How does that kind of change as you start to now enable your team with more of these tools? So we're kind of using it product of what we sell, plus us as marketers.
Cool. No, this sounds really good. Really good. Okay, so before we move into like, I want to like ask you a couple of other questions more on personal side. But
Yeah.
before we move there, I want to ask the most famous topic, the most trendy topic right now,
Yeah.
AEO and GEO and all the acronyms that exist. What
Oh,
are you
yeah.
doing about it? And how are you deciding? Like, I have heard people, oh, it's a snake oil, and I have heard people, oh, it works. Where are you in that spectrum?
Yeah, I'm definitely leaning in. I'm not full all in, right? So still when you look at the traffic, even though our organic traffic has definitely declined like everybody else year over year, it's still way more traffic, trials, and purchases coming through traditional organic search than there
Right.
is referral traffic from ChatGPT and LLMs. But we're very much focused on it. So for us, we are engaging in Reddit. So I mentioned that before. We had one of our reactionary comments within a Reddit string looking at Hubstaff versus a competitor. Our response in a Reddit thread where we didn't start at the conversation, but someone mentioned it organically as Hubstaff versus competitor. We then engaged as the brand, gave our perspective objectively. We're actually the top AIO recommended link there when you search Hubstaff versus that competitive name. So that's an example where, okay, this Reddit engagement, it does work when you do it well. So we
Yeah.
are leaning into that as well as even YouTube. So we've done more within YouTube now, done some YouTube shorts. I've been the actual creative and the talent a couple of times, but we've also been testing some generative AI for video. And man, guy boyfriend beat me out on views. This pretty white man, I was like, dang it, AI boyfriend, why you got more views than me, man? I was like, dang. So I'm coming for AI boyfriend. I'm gonna make mine. My human ones are gonna be better. Humans, you guys gotta show me the love so that we can make sure the humans are still winning. Don't let these robots beat us. But anyway, we're out there, man.
Nice.
We're testing it. We're doing our thing, but end of the day, we're focused on the right metrics to matter. So for
Yeah.
us, yes, we are looking at AIO visibility, LLM referral traffic, but end of the day, we're trying to drive qualified traffic that drives leads, that ultimately drives revenue, right? So at
Yeah.
the end of the day, I'm gold on a revenue number. And so that's really my lighthouse at the end is making sure I'm doing what we need to do to grow that revenue continuously.
No, makes sense. I do think there is some merit there, but I am still not sure on the solutions out there, which are primarily just a visibility report and nothing more. Like
It's
if
the new
somebody,
gold run,
yeah,
so many pitches. And then we've done these demos. We've done like, 6 different company demos with it. And no one quite has the full picture is what
yeah,
I'd say. So if someone can put it all together, they've got some opportunity, but then it's going to change like this and someone's
right,
going to figure something else out. So
yeah,
it does feel like a little mini SaaS gold rush right now. If you can
yeah,
try to give marketers this visibility that no one has. But yeah, I think it's evaluate, make sure you're not paying too much of a premium just because it's the shiny new thing. And just think about what's the real business impact of this? How's this going to affect your marketing? What will
mm,
you do differently based on this insight? And again, is that going to be meaningful for your business?
no, makes sense, makes sense. Awesome. Hey, thanks, Alex, for this. Okay, moving on. I know I've been reading a bit and I researched about you. Like you have been a strong advocate for much of times. I want to like hear more. How did you get there and how has it influenced both your personal and professional life?
Yeah, sure. And I appreciate the question. So I've definitely known of March of Dimes, over the years, known it more as for premature birth and dealing with that. So I myself was a preemie baby,
Uh,
but really became more personal for me. So 2018, my wife and I, pregnant for the first time, and we unfortunately, unexpectedly lost our son, was born, stillborn at 38 weeks. So didn't see it coming, no health issues with mom or baby. Everything was fine. Everything was fine. until it wasn't. So that was a shock to the system. Was a lot for us to collectively just figure out where do we go from here. And so, yeah, once we did the work, grief therapy, I did a lot of things to honor our son. He's got a tree with a plaque. He's got a bench in a little park with a plaque. We celebrate his birthday every August. And coming out of that, definitely was figuring out, okay, how do I move forward? How do I take this experience and turn it into a positive? So I started sharing that story more. So infant loss, whether that's actual miscarriage or stillbirth less common, but infant loss is very common throughout the world. And it doesn't get talked about much, but it is so common. For me, it was an opportunity to shine light on something, and then especially to give a father's perspective on it. And the difference of how men deal with grief versus women is something I'm passionate about too. So for me, it was sharing the story and giving hope to others. We now have a beautiful biological daughter. She'll be 4 next month. And we adopted a baby boy who just turned a year old earlier this month. So we now, very healthy family. Both of them will learn about their big brother as well that we lost, and we'll continue to honor him. So I think from a leadership perspective, it's really made me more open and vulnerable where, hey, don't be afraid to share your scars because other people will likely relate. And then second, I would say it's really made me think about, hey, there is a positive after a negative, right? So there is light after the darkness, and me continuing to be positive, continuing to show up, continuing to be optimistic is something I try to bring to my team as well too. So that grit, that resiliency that I've gone through in my personal life, I bring it to work as well, where I don't let a setback hold me back. And I try to make sure that my team also rallies and brings that positivity.
Makes sense. Awesome. Hey, this is awesome, Alex. Okay, I always end my podcast with rapid fires. So, I'll ask you 3 questions. Don't think too much. Just answer whatever you get in mind. Okay, so
Cool.
one tech tool that you can't live without.
Tech tool I can't live without. I don't know if I'd say it's like a tech tool and it's been around for a little bit, but Substack. I've been just getting deeper on Substacks lately, and just 'cause I feel like social media has kind of gone to crap now. So Substack's kind of more and then Reddit, like we talked about, is kind of crazy now. So I like the Substack authors I've been following, like people that are putting out real authentic content, like the discoverability. So I'm going to say Substack on that one.
Okay, nice and cool. My second question is a tech trend that is significant hype than it should be.
Yeah. I mean, we've kind of talked about generative AI, it's slash the AIEO and everything there. I think it's that generative AI, whether it's just flooding content and LinkedIn, you see all the M dashes, you see all the emojis, you're like, okay, all right. I know who wrote this, guys. Come on. So that, yes, everyone can help scale it, but I still think we need humans for the storytelling, for the real. So that's what I would say. And then, the gold rush to the AEO analytics space as well would be my second one.
Cool. And last one, if you could switch lives with one person in the world, who would that be? Could be
One
living
person-
or dead, either. Yeah.
Sorry, say it again.
If you could switch lives with one person in the world, who would that be? It could be both living or dead, doesn't matter.
Man, living or dead. That's a tough one. I don't know, man. Generally, I like who I am. I like what I do in life. I like my own problems. I feel like switching with somebody else, you're like, oh, it sounds good. And now I'm like, no, now I got your problems. I knew how to deal with my problems. So I'm just going to say Alex Schutte. We're going to with Alex, and I'm just going to ride this life out and see how good I can make it.
Awesome. Hey, Alex, thanks a lot for this. I had a wonderful time chatting with you, and this has been a wonderful, very honest and very a personal, warm podcast. So thanks a lot for all of this.